First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the support I received in my first video. I wasn't expecting 600 views in 2 days on the first video of the channel, so I appreciate it. That being said, this video is playing off an idea in that video, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'd recommend going to watch it first, or you can skip it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. So with that out of the way, let's get on to the video. So in the Final Fantasy Connected video, we established that the world Lightning leads its souls to is the world of Final Fantasy VII, avoiding any future problems of humanity once her job was done, seeing as Lightning is still a living embodiment of Etro and still immortal. However, I feel there's another potential outcome for how Lightning would have turned out in that set of events, and assuming you looked at the title before clicking on the video, you know where I'm going with this. So let's do some fact checking and see how well this will work. Now, a couple things I'd like to clarify first. This theory is based entirely on if the Connected Worlds theory was canon, so I can't wait for people who don't watch to comment to go, how would that work, so they're not in the same world. Good viewer engagement, I guess. Let's get the basics out of the way first. Appearance. I had this theory a while before my editor put together the last video, and I was shocked to see how similar the two characters actually looked. Well, not a 1-to-1 ratio, they are similar builds and have similar hair, and while Jenova is more like a thin VTuber model, and Lightning has a more filled out face, even some of their facial features line up a tad. Now, to be fair, they don't look similar enough to be the same person, but similar enough that if you told me they were related, I'd believe you. That, however, could be chalked up to it being thousands of years between the end of 13.3 and the Final Fantasy VII on the timeline. That's the easy stuff. Now onto some lore about Jenova. This shape-shifting mass of tentacles has often been referred to as the Calamity from the Skies, a creature who feeds off the life energy of the planets and sucks them dry before moving on to a new world. It was thought that by scientists and explorers that had found her in the northern crater that she was a preserved Cetra. Both Professors Gast and Hojo would then proceed to experiment on her cells in various ways to try to make super soldiers. Later we find out Jenova was not a Cetra but some other alien race entirely. Eventually, after Sephiroth gets yeeted into the lifestream by Cloud, he and Jenova have a battle of wills that she eventually ends up losing, allowing Sephiroth to control her like a puppet on a string. Lightning's lore doesn't really matter till the end of the events of Lightning Returns. As I stated in the Worlds Connected theory, the path that Lightning takes to show the souls is a fairly similar path to that of Safer Sephiroth's ultimate attack, Supernova. Another thing I'd like to point out that I didn't before is that the gathered souls really start to look similar in appearance to that of the lifestream as they reach the planet. I also propose that these souls are the original Cetra in that video. Now you may ask, if everyone Lightning brought over the same as her, how can Lightning be Jenova and the others be Cetra when Jenova isn't a Cetra? Well, I'm glad I asked that question for you. You see, Lightning isn't the same as everyone else. For starters, Lightning is a god. Well, the host of a god's soul? Either way, she's what replaced Etro as a goddess. For seconds, Lightning is the only person from Grand Pulse that was never purified by Bonneville's Ark. Therefore, she would not have the same essence as the freshly rebirthed souls once they arrived in the new world. Thus, what would make Jenova cells special in this case would be that they are cells from an immortal fallen goddess that was never cleansed of the old world. Which makes me realize that Gast and Hojo were doing their best Bloodborne impressions, you know, because blood of the old gods and injecting it into people. Anyway, now the next counterpoint. When Jenova landed on Gaia, bonus points if you knew that was the world's name, she lands on the northern continent inside a meteor. And it was shown in the new world, Lightning was roaming around happy and free at the end of Lightning Returns. Now, this never made much sense to me. The second half of Final Fantasy VII is that a meteor is threatening the sky, and if it hits the planet, it would be an extinction level event. So, had Jenova also shown up in a meteor, there wouldn't be life on the planet to begin with. But I suppose that may be because one is a spell, and the other one's more like the meteors from Final Fantasy V. But what if instead the crater was made during the clash between the original Ancients and Jenova? Giving Lightning had the power to defeat a god that created a world, causing some sort of explosion to make a crater is not that big a jump to make, killing most of the remaining Cetra in the process. You can even fit it in that all the cleansed souls of the lifestream were rejecting Lightning, and causing those around her that she tried to help to mutate from exposure to her foreign DNA. And it wasn't that Jenova took the forms of long-lost loved ones that tricked the Cetra. It was the Cetra that took drastic measures against an old loved one to stop the spread of the accidental disease that was causing mutations in its people, confining her to the northern crater. Now when we see Jenova for the first time in Final Fantasy VII, inside the Nibelheim reactor, while having the partial appearance of a woman, she also does have several external organs that seem to be now growing out of her. Going back to her fight with the Cetra, I believe the attack had injured Lightning, as well as wiping out most of the Cetra. And with an explosion being big enough to force open a path to the depths of the lifestream in the planet, the lifestream had tried to heal the broken immortal body, and caused her to mutate mutate from the mixture, as she had once done to the Cetra, allowing her to mutate and change her appearance at will. However, not choosing to do so outside of what she needed to do to preserve her normal bodily functions. Then, once she loses the battle of wills against Sephiroth, he forces her to turn into the monstrosities that we see throughout the game. It would also explain why Jenova keeps living, despite losing her head. Besides, ew, she was just an alien, of course she could survive without her head. Or how even at the end of the series, despite being divided into a few remaining remnants of DNA, Jenova still lives. I don't know why I like the idea of an immortal over an alien. I guess it's because in my head aliens would still die if they were dismembered and spread out to a cellular level, but I suppose either explanation works. And that's all I really had for this one. We could dive more into the lore and try drawing branches to either connect points or whip away proof that we already have, but in the end this was more of a fun idea than something I really actually wanted to prove. Like, I could point out that all of the DLC outfits in Lightning Returns that are actually Final Fantasy outfits are either from Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy VII. You know, the two games that have been confirmed to be the same world, thus tying 13 in a bit better, but I don't want to dive that deep into looking into stuff. We only do that for From Software games. But seriously though, only 10 and 7. There are like 10 more games they could have DLC outfits from. Like, the Warrior Light uses a sword and a shield. That would have been perfect. But with this being shorter than I thought, let's get into some more serious talk to extend the runtime a little bit. Now that the people who only came for the theory have clicked off, let's chat. The theory videos aren't the only kind of thing I want to do. I also have in mind some Final Fantasy challenge videos I want to do. I have a gameplay channel that I didn't promote in the last video because I haven't uploaded on it in over a year, but I kind of want to do the last 5 to 10 episodes of the last game I was playing on there and jump into more challenge-based content. Like right now I have half of Final Fantasy V Summoner only playthrough recorded, or perhaps doing a Nuzlocke-like challenge in games that have a job system, or even World of Final Fantasy, where Final Fantasy tried to be Pokemon. And I thought of maybe posting videos like that on this channel. I know those two genre videos are for two separate audiences. They would also be very time consuming and far and in between, as I'd like to focus on theory content primarily for now. I also debated on starting up a Patreon, but that's something that someone just starting out should be doing. Like, not that I want to ask for you guys with money at all, but I definitely don't want to do it with only 8 subscribers. But it'd be nice to do this full time, and I have a long way from hitting YouTube's ridiculous monetization numbers. But yeah, a huge shout out to my editor again for making what I already know is going to be an amazing edit, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Let me know what your thoughts on any of this are in the comment section. Feel free to roast me. I did enjoy quite a few of your guys' comments in the last episode. Were calling me out on stuff, which were once again answered in the video itself, but you know. Anyway, take care.